everybody, it's Debbie Sissons again. Thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for the folks who left comments for me on my last video. I got a couple before pictures of ovens as people are starting to try to clean their ovens, and looking forward to the after pictures. Something I wanted to mention because people had questions on the oven cleaning. I soak my racks when you take them out of the oven for the self-cleaning. I soak them in hot sudsy water. I'm lucky enough I have a big sink without a divider that I can soak the rack in, but if you don't have a big sink, you can also soak it in your bathtub. Just fill it with hot sudsy water and let them soak for 15 to 30 minutes. And then I use a yellow scrub brush so I can get between the bars. If the racks have a lot on them and it's taking you a lot, before you do that, you might use it like a green Scotch, those green rough scrubbies that are about yay big. They're just green bristly scrubbies. Use those to take off a layer or two of gook. Something else that I was thinking, someone asked me, well, it's left my mind. That's what happens when you don't write things down. But my kids assured me that I should not put a script together because it looks better when I freeform and just talk to you. So you're gonna have to deal with my brain lapses. But I asked what I should do my next video on, and Lindsay, my personal trainer, hi Lindsay, thank you. I've been working with her for 2 months. I'll do a commercial for Cornerstone Fitness here in Bargersville. I've been there for 2 months, work out with her 3 days a week, an hour each day. I love it. Lost a lot of inches. Not a lot of weight yet, but we're working on that. But inches, and I've gained endurance and things like that. But I see her a few mornings a week, and I was asking her what she thought I should do next, and she said, how about a cooking video? Tonight, I'm gonna show you beef stew. I have my ingredients out here. Most of my recipes, and I'll post the recipe later, but most of my recipes that I've collected over the years are not very fussy, meaning I'll put in 15 or less ingredients. I do like making more complicated recipes sometimes, but on a weeknight, who has time for 20 or more ingredients? So I keep it pretty low key for the weeknight. And for soups, stews, spaghetti sauce, I usually make a big batch, so it's a cook once, eat 2 or 3 times type of deal. So this is 2 pounds of stew meat, and also with your meat, or stews, your steaks, any meat you're cooking, you should get it out about a half hour before you're gonna use it so that it can get up to room temperature, and that helps it cook more evenly. Now I've got my veggies prepped, and I'm going to make the liquid for the stew before I actually do the meat so that I can put this in right away. But the liquid is just a 32-ounce container of beef broth. And half a teaspoon of salt. And I measure this over, I do not measure it over what I'm going to add it to because I don't want to spill too much salt. I use coarse kosher salt, half a teaspoon, and then 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Usually use half the amount of black pepper as you do salt. Teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Get a little extra of that, that's not too bad. And then as a thickening agent, a lot of recipes call for flour, right, to make their roux, but I stink at making flour gravies. Mine turn lumpy. I've tried for years and years and years, and it doesn't work so well. So what I use instead is cornstarch. It does the thickening. Add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. That will help your stew become a stew, a thick, instead of just a soup with a broth. So just whisk that all together and put it aside. But the cornstarch will thicken it up and you won't get lumps. So I'm gonna put that aside. So I just covered a plate in parchment. What I'm gonna do, I don't rinse my beef. I don't rinse any meat actually because I don't want it to splatter germs all over the place. So I do dry it off with paper towels. You do small batches at a time. I'm gonna do about half the meat, but you just blot it with paper towels. But you blot off the meat. Wash my hands. While I'm doing that, I'm also heating up my Dutch oven. So you heat it up first, and then you add a couple tablespoons of oil. But now that I have the meat dried off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat it in flour. Take about a cup of flour, maybe a cup and a half. I do a lot of eyeballing, I have to tell you that. My pan's heating up. I have my bag of flour and I have my meat. So then you just shake it around in your bag to get it all coated. Really scientific, right? So your meat's coated, and now you're gonna brown it. Bring this over here. You can see my oil's hot. I keep it down pretty low. But to get the meat out of here and into the pan, I use, I don't know, they're the tongs. I saved the tongs from, like when you get fruit or meat trays from a deli. I save those because they're handy to use in situations like this. But you don't crowd your pan. As that gets browned off, get all the sides a nice brown color. Again, it doesn't have to be cooked all the way through. Remove the meat to a bowl to set aside. I put paper towels in there to blot the grease. My meat is all browned off. You can see it there. I have it set aside. And I put a little more oil in. You see the pan's all kinds of crazy in there. But I heat up. I turn my heat down to low because now I'm going to do the onions and garlic. and I don't want them to burn, I want them to soften. So you turn the heat down to low, put a little more oil in, put your onions in first. Stir them around. Keep it moving so they don't burn. They'll get soft. And they're coated in the flour mixture and oil that was on the meat. When those start to look like they're softening, add the garlic that's already minced. I put in a nice tablespoon, and that will cook pretty fast. You don't want to burn it. If you had smell-o-vision, you would be able to smell onions, garlic. Smells great. Then we're going to put in our broth mixture that we made earlier with the cornstarch, the Worcestershire sauce, salt, pepper, and the beef broth. So you want to turn your heat back up a little bit, about medium. Depends on your burner, you'll know. But you want to scrape the bottom of the pan and the sides, release any of the drippings that are on the pan. You want this to come to a boil, and it will thicken up. Add another 4 cups of water after that thickens, so that I have enough of the broth. Cooking is a patient art. We'll wait for our boil, and then we'll add more water, and then we'll add the spices, and we'll add the meat back in, and then we'll simmer it, stew it for about an hour before we put the veggies in. I'm back to put the veggies in the stew. It has been cooking for over an hour. Let's take the lid off and see how it looks. Looks pretty good. So we're going to add carrots, which I did 1 pound of baby carrots that are already cleaned and peeled, and I just cut them in half. And then potatoes, 5 red potatoes diced up. So now those veggies are going in, and it's going to cook for another 30 minutes. And the last thing we're going to put in for 10 minutes will be some frozen peas. So far so good. It's looking good. Be back in a little bit. Okay. The last time we were here, I added the potatoes and carrots, and I cooked for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, I added half of a 10-ounce bag of frozen peas. And that's what we have. Looking good. So we'll scoop it out and see how it looks. Here's our stew. I will post the recipe later. Thank you for watching the video. As always, leave comments. My son's waving the biscuits around, but I don't think you need to see the Pillsbury biscuits. But thank you for watching. Please leave comments, let me know if it was helpful, and give me some ideas of what else you would like to see. Until next time, bye-bye.